Section 1. Rebellion in the Desert. The challenge to Moses and Aaron. The Israelites had been freed from slavery in Egypt. They had witnessed the mighty hand of God part the Red Sea and lead them out of bondage. Their journey, however, was far from over. They were on a journey to the Promised Land, a land flowing with milk and honey, as God had promised their ancestors. But the journey was long, arduous, and filled with trials. The people grew weary and often impatient, questioning the path they were on. They grumbled and complained against Moses and Aaron, their appointed leaders, expressing doubts and frustrations. One day, a man named Korah, who was from the tribe of Levi, led a rebellion. He was not content with his role and sought greater power and influence. Korah was from the tribe of Levi, but he wanted more power. He desired the priesthood, a position of great honor and responsibility. He wanted to be a priest, a role that was divinely appointed and not to be taken lightly. Korah gathered others to his side, and they challenged Moses and Aaron's authority. They questioned the legitimacy of their leadership. They questioned why Moses and Aaron had been chosen by God to lead the people. They believed that they too were holy and capable of leading. The rebellion deeply saddened Moses. He was heartbroken by the people's lack of faith and trust in God's plan. He fell face down before the Lord, seeking guidance and intervention. Moses knew that only God could resolve this crisis. God was angry with the rebels for their lack of faith. Their defiance was not just against Moses and Aaron, but against God himself. He could have destroyed them all in his righteous anger. The rebellion was a serious affront to his divine authority, but Moses pleaded for mercy. He interceded on behalf of the people, asking God to spare them despite their rebellion. God devised a plan to publicly demonstrate who he had chosen. It was a plan that would leave no doubt about his will. It was time for the staff of God to speak. This miraculous sign would confirm his chosen leaders and restore order among the people. Section 2. A sign from above. Aaron's staff blooms in the tent of meeting. God instructed Moses to gather the leaders of the 12 tribes. Each leader was to bring a staff, a symbol of their authority. Aaron, representing the tribe of Levi, would also bring his staff. The staffs were placed in the tent of meeting, the place where God's presence dwelled. This was a test. Whose staff would God choose? This was a question that weighed heavily on the hearts of the Israelites. The next day, Moses went into the tent of meeting. He was met with an astonishing sight. Aaron's staff had sprouted. It wasn't just a few leaves. The staff was covered in blossoms. It had produced ripe almonds. Section 3. Lessons from a budding staff. God's power, our trust. The blossoming staff of Aaron was a powerful miracle. It was a divine act that defied natural laws, a clear demonstration of God's omnipotence and his ability to bring life from what was once lifeless. It was a clear sign from God. This miraculous event was not just a random act but a purposeful message to the people of Israel, affirming his presence and his will. God had chosen Aaron and his descendants to be priests. He affirmed their authority. He silenced the doubters. This was a pivotal moment, establishing a divine order and ensuring that the people knew whom God had appointed to lead them in worship and service. The miracle taught the Israelites about God's sovereignty. God is in control. It was a lesson in trust and obedience, showing that God's plans are beyond human understanding and that his choices are always perfect. He chooses who he will use. God's selection is not based on human criteria, but on his divine wisdom and purpose. He equips them for his service. Those whom God calls, he also prepares and empowers, providing them with the necessary tools and abilities to fulfill their divine mission. This event also teaches us about faith. Faith is not about seeing but believing in God's power and promises, even when we cannot see the outcome. Aaron didn't have to do anything special to make the staff bud. He simply followed God's command, demonstrating that obedience and trust in God are what bring about his miracles. He simply obeyed God's instructions and trusted in him. This is a powerful reminder that our role is to trust and obey, leaving the results to God. God still performs miracles today. Though they may not always be as dramatic as a staff blossoming, they are no less significant. We may not see staffs bloom, but we see his hand at work in our lives. He provides for us. In countless ways, God shows his care and provision, reminding us that he is always with us. He heals us. He guides us. In moments of need, God's presence is a source of comfort and strength, guiding us through challenges and bringing healing to our lives. When we are faithful, we can trust that he will work in amazing ways. Our faithfulness opens the door for God to move powerfully in our lives, transforming situations and bringing about His perfect will. Section 4. Chosen to serve. The sacred duties of Aaron and the priests. In the ancient times, the role of the priests, especially Aaron and his sons, was of paramount importance. They were not just ordinary men, they were chosen by God Himself to carry out sacred duties that were essential for the spiritual well-being of the people. The budding staff was not just a sign of authority, it symbolized God's choice and approval. This miraculous sign was a divine endorsement, a clear indication that Aaron and his lineage were set apart for a holy purpose. It was a call to service, a call that required dedication, purity, and unwavering commitment. The priests had to prepare themselves, both physically and spiritually, to serve in the presence of the Almighty. God gave Aaron and his sons, the priests, specific responsibilities. These duties were not arbitrary, they were divinely ordained tasks that had to be performed with utmost precision and reverence. They were set apart for His work. Their duties were sacred. The holy garments they wore were a constant reminder of their unique role and the sanctity of their service. The priests were responsible for offering sacrifices on behalf of the people. These sacrifices were not mere rituals, they were profound acts of worship and atonement. These sacrifices atoned for their sins. Each offering was a step towards reconciliation with God, a way to seek His forgiveness and favor. The priests also burned incense, a sweet aroma that pleased the Lord. This act symbolized the prayers of the people rising up to heaven, a fragrant offering to the divine. Inside the tent of meeting was the Ark of the Covenant. This sacred space was where God's presence dwelled among His people. This sacred chest contained the 10 Commandments. These were the very words of God inscribed on stone tablets, a testament to His covenant with Israel. The priests were responsible for caring for the Ark and all the holy objects inside the tent. Their role was to ensure that these sacred items were treated with the reverence they deserved. The priests were teachers of the law. They were entrusted with the knowledge of God's commandments and were responsible for imparting this wisdom to the people. They helped the people understand God's commands. Through their teachings, they guided the community in living a life that was pleasing to God. They served as a bridge between God and His people. Their role was to mediate, to intercede on behalf of the people, and to bring them closer to the divine. Section 5. Guardians of the Holy. The Levites' role in God's house. The Levites were also given important responsibilities. They were chosen to assist the priests in their duties. They were caretakers of the tabernacle. The Levites set up and took down the tabernacle as the Israelites journeyed. They transported all its furnishings. They guarded the tabernacle and its treasures. The Levites were responsible for the upkeep of the tabernacle. They kept it clean and in good repair. They ensured that everything was in its proper place. The Levites played a vital role in the worship of God. They were a dedicated group, set apart for His service. Section 6. Honoring God's work, providing for the priests and Levites. The priests and Levites dedicated their lives to serving God and the people. They didn't have time for other work. God provided for their needs in a special way. The Israelites were instructed to give 1/10 of their crops and flocks to the Levites. This was called a tithe. The Levites, in turn, gave 1/10 of what they received to the priests. This system ensured that the priests and Levites could focus on their duties. It was a tangible way for the Israelites to show their gratitude for their service. It was a reminder that God takes care of those who are faithful to Him. Section 7. The high cost of disobedience, a warning and a promise. God took rebellion against His chosen leaders very seriously. He wanted the Israelites to understand the importance of obeying His commands. Those who rebelled against Moses and Aaron faced severe consequences. Some were swallowed by the earth, others were consumed by fire. Their rebellion led to death and separation from God. This event serves as a warning to us today. We must respect God's authority and those He has placed in positions of leadership. Disobedience has consequences, but there is also a promise in this story. When we are obedient to God, we can trust that He will bless us. He will provide for us. He will protect us. He will guide us on our journey through life.